Ding dong, ding dong. It's time for a review of this year, or a, well, retrospect rather, I'd say. Man, I probably should have titled this rather than year's end, year's retrospect. Yeah, fuck it, I'll name it probably tomorrow or something like that. Anyways, well, it is indeed, well, one of the last couple of days for this year. So me and other creators came together to do a little bit of, as I said, retrospective of this year. And word in advice, this creators round table will be without sound effects. So if you decide to be a bit more generous and want else, I'll thank you after the stream. But for now, I guess I might as well just join the fuckers and well, start doing something. Yes. Yeah. So. Right.
You in
and
my
there we go.
Yeah, and there's the Yamiks.
Yes.
Hi guys.
That's right. Here we go.
I think we're just waiting for Astro.
Oh, that's neat. Oh, great. I'm ending this year on a. Oh god, I'm ending this year on a prison ship. Right, I kind of forgot that I had.
What? What did you do?
Something. What did I do in the last? Well, the point is, I'm on a fucking prison ship, and that's how I'm gonna. Well, sort of celebrate the end of the year with my account number 1. Great. Just great.
GG?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Well, screw it. As long as I don't drop the soap, you know? As long as I don't drop the soap.
Don't do that.
It's not a great idea, yes. Okay, let's see. God damn it, where's the Discord's overlay? Ah,
I don't know.
actually,
I haven't
that.
tried using Discord overlay for quite a while.
Yes,
Let me
we
see if I
have
can
the
get it to
Discord
work.
overlay now. Yes, there we go. Right, so we might as well just wait for Astro then.
And there we go. Hello, guys.
Hey! All right, so I guess I could do the intro properly, I suppose, for everyone to have a reference point. So then, we have gathered today in this 28th December of 2019 to talk, probably shit on some things, and probably praising some things. Trust me, I will praise some things, indeed, today.
Praise the
probably.
sun.
For once.
Yeah, that too.
And the sun.
Capable of liking things?
Yes, fuck off, okay? So anyways.
TheYamiks likes nothing. We know this.
I'm a hypercritical cunt that just likes nothing. No, but, so yeah, for today's little retrospective of this year, not only in Elite Dangerous, but in any other fucking game or topic that we find interesting, is joined, let's see. Well, you can see it on the screen, at least on my end. But let's start from the top, and that'd be Down to Earth Astronomy is joined today.
Woo!
Good evening, guys.
Courtesy clap. After that, we have Paroxym.
Hello, everybody.
And for a guest today, we had to pull in someone else because everyone else was fucking busy, it seems. Anyway.
C-lister.
But no, always a pleasure, never mind. The pilot.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, too.
Well, it's still the old year, you see. All right. Well, I guess we start with the main topic, I suppose, and that is obviously the thing that we all sort of poke and prod and fillet oftentimes as well, and that's Elite Dangerous. So, who wants to start with the year's start and Elite's progress there?
I think the best place to start would probably be the announcement that Frontier made was right at the end of last year, where they said that this year would be no content update. I think they said whatsoever, but there will be at least very, very little content. It will be focusing on bug fixes and...
Fact thing here, folks. They did say that on April update or April announcement. So it was literally 3 months of no messages from developers after the last update from the Beyond. And only on April, they announced basically a maintenance phase.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. I mean, more or less. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad they did because there's been so much stuff wrong that needs fixed that it's good to see them take the time to try and iron it out before adding yet even more complex things in just to mess things up even further.
I know that we volleyed for content push in order to actually fix a lot of these issues, and I know some of them have.
Oh, that's a topic
fixed.
a little bit later. Let's start with the year start.
Yeah, all right.
There'll be topics, trust
I
me.
would have liked a little bit more, a little bit more fixes and maybe something else, but yeah, is what it is.
All right, then.
So the April update, that was the new player experience?
They announced, the 2 next updates would be the new player updates, and after that, I think they did mention... Did they mention the fleet carriers that would be coming in December?
Yeah, because that was what I'm thinking. There was this whole fleet carrier thing that first it was cancelled, and then they made a surprise announcement that it would be coming, and then it wouldn't be coming anyway, and now it's going to be sometimes next summer.
Yeah, it was December. Yeah.
Yeah, it was originally December of this year, but then with the maintenance push and all that stuff, they moved it.
Right. Okay, yeah, right now I remember the April update. Also, they did say in that April update that the majority of the developers of Elite Dangerous would be going on to work on the next so-called era, whatever, anyways, of updates for Elite, or rather the next big update for the next console generation, which, let's be honest, it will be, because of it, made, and... And the B team, as I personally call them, the B team is going to be working on the ongoing updates. Later on that year, a little time skip to basically the summer, in the LiveCon, I did ask developers directly to give me even just an approximate amount of developers, percentage to the A team that is working on the 2020 update and the B team who is working on the current update. Developers gave me a figure of 25 to 75, meaning that 25% of the team of these 100 developers are working on the ongoing updates, and the rest, the 75, apparently are working on the next updates. Now, having no data to confirm or deny that sort of a figure, it's, yeah. Well, the updates themselves kind of made me question those things, but we'll get to that.
It does make me wonder, what is in that update, though. They haven't said a word really about it for ages.
They haven't?
If ever.
There have been leaks. Anyone want to elaborate on the leaks?
Were those this year? Weren't they last year?
I think those were this year, weren't? Oh wait, no. I think that was at the
No, they
end
were
of
last
year.
Yeah.
There was actually a
Land,
slight
everything like
update on some of it, but it was mostly for Planet Coaster stuff from this year. Someone.
So we've all clearly done our homework then, and we're all prepared for this.
Again, not having done this thing in like months. You kind of get rusty. Don't get off my back. Anyways, all right, then time skip then to summer, LaveCon. We get basically developers just, sort of not really even announcing it. Oh, wait, no, they did announce something in the LaveCon, did they? Now, who can remember what that was?
I've slept since then.
Well, there was the Ice Planet thing.
No, they did not announce the Ice Planets. They did say that Ice Planet thing would be halted indefinitely. I don't know. They didn't mention anything about that in April update nor in the LaveCon.
I can't.
Okay,
I'm trying to remember what all was
the
announced,
historian TheYamiks is gonna tell you then, right? Right. I actually have a couple of folks probably in both anyone's chats writing right now, but I have one mentioning the fleet carriers. Actually, the funny thing is,
the support ships. That's an interesting topic. Yeah, exactly. Now we have people over on my chat as well.
Exactly.
Fleet carriers.
So basically, I arrived in UK day before LaveCon. I landed and I was waiting for a Scorpius and the gang to basically go and pick me up. A massive thanks to them for being awesome and helping out with travels. But yeah, I land in the airport in the fucking Luton. But anyways, I'm waiting. I'm opening my phone and I see. What do you think I saw on Reddit? Well, I saw a Frontier-owned misplaced quote-unquote leak for the Fleet Carrier trailer. Actually, that was a day before the actual thing. So that was great. I was laughing my ass off when I saw that.
That was that. I remember that.
So that was one thing.
I think Fleet Carriers, let's stick with that topic for a bit. What's your guys' take on like the information we have now? There's obviously a lot of stuff missing, but one thing that I've seen a lot of people being, what I think is a misconception, is that people will be able to pilot these ships. What's your take on this? Because I don't think that's the case. I don't think we'll be able to actually take these and fly.
Fleet carriers, in my opinion, are megaships. They are a static point in a world, essentially. Again, it's just a static base point that has an animation of disappearing, essentially. That's how I see it in programming terms. So essentially, it's just going to be some sort of text menu thing somewhere that you basically set in. Okay, the ship next, thing to jump to is coordinate whatchamahazards or system whatchamahazards, and on the next jump cycle or free at will, I don't know, maybe, the thing jumps. And when it spawns in a system, obviously, not every megaship is gonna spawn in the same place. I bet they will be in random locations, and that's about it.
But okay, so here's the thing with jumping. I think is quite interesting. I've really been like trying to wrap my head around it, because we have, is it like 8 or 9 different variants for support ships, and as I understand it, the support ships are going to alter some stats on the main fleet carrier. Like if you fit a mining one, let's guess it has more cargo hold, or maybe it allows you to restock limpets on it or something like that. But if you have one, let's say the combat variant of it, how do you make a fleet carrier combat specific if it's only going to be like a remote base? And how is that combat specific one different? Or maybe combat's a bad experience. Or, example, we both have I think they had both a smuggle and a trade one. How are those two different? How do a smuggle fleet carrier help in a different way than a trade fleet carrier? That kind of tells me that it has a much more, like, will it have a black market if it's a smuggle fleet carrier? Will you actually be able to sell to it? That's what puzzles me the most, is exactly how integrated into gameplay are these going to be.
I would imagine that the combat support fleet carrier would probably have more weapons on it and more ability to stock for weapons and an outfit for weapons.
Oh, I think they will have outfitting and it based on that.
I mean, the outfitting would make sense, but at the same time, I don't see why the others couldn't stock the same stuff. It's just storage space.
No, exactly. But so if I fit let's say a trade one, then it will have class 8 cargo racks and good FSD drives. But if I select a combat one, it will have a better selection of weapons, maybe something along those lines.
I wonder if you can control what it does stock and doesn't stock. Regardless,
I think you can control it, but you're going to be able to control it with the support ships. That will give different variant. But okay, so here's my point: how often do you fit a new ship? Let's say you're really into mining. Well, you fit your mining ship once. Would you really buy a dedicated support ship to your fleet carrier just to be able to fit a mining ship at it? No, that's the one that puzzles me. I mean, if I want to fit a ship, I dock up in Shinracha, I fit my ship, I do the engineering, and then I fly to the fleet carrier.
Actually, yeah, I've been wondering for a long time what fleet carriers are actually for. And I don't believe that there's any intent to actually throw them out there and, let people rebuild civilization in the different corners of the galaxy or anything like that. That's what I would like to see. Burn the bubble and let's make our own. But I still can't figure out what they're for. Are they just mobile bases? You have one more place to land. Did we have a shortage of that before?
Well, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, yes, but I mean, inside the bubble,
one viable is the exploration one, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, anyone who knows me knows exactly what I'm going to be doing with the carriers when they show up.
Go camp out in the middle of nowhere, right?
I'm going to take that bitch out to Beagle Point.
The same thing you did with everything else.
With no canopy.
How predictable.
500 light years at a time per day. No. No,
well,
what I think...
go.
No, I'm just thinking that there's the fine mechanics of, especially when we jump it, like how accurately we're going to be able to jump. Can we say, I want this to spawn, and it basically spawns like if it were you recalling your ship from the planet, that it will spawn, let's say, within 10 kilometers of you, and that's where your fleet carrier is? Or is it just, it jumps to a system and then, pick a random planet that it goes into orbit around, a random planet or moon?
Well, I was hoping that we'd at least be able to tell it what planet or moon to orbit when it gets there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think it'll be, much more accurate than that. Why would it be?
I would absolutely love to fight with them. Jump into the same instance and blow someone up.
So they would
hell yeah.
Even work much like the capital ships, maybe a little less potent, but a lot like the capital ships we see now. You can pull them into an instance, and they can give you support there. Obviously, it would cost some fuel, so you would sacrifice some money to do so. But yeah, Something along those lines would be really cool.
Right. Well, I'm gonna do the cunt move then. So here's the thing about fleet carriers. You see, right? When developers did actually go and announce things about them during the LaveCon, you see, it was rather. I don't know. It was just me scratching my head and just thinking, well, what the fuck are they even supposed to do? What's the meaning? Why? Basically. And the thing is, the information that developers gave only us a few details. First of all, that they would be able to jump around 500 light years, right? That's the info piece number one. How often you can do that, no one knows. The fact that it will need a special fuel, as if that was too hard to predict, to be honest. More grind, obviously. So that's another thing. The fact that every player apparently should be able to get one, which was still an interesting thing, because everyone was thinking, well, it will be tied to squadrons, but apparently not. Well, regardless, and of course, next thing was outfitting. You would be able to repair, repair, restock, and I think there was one more thing. Damn it, in the patch notes.
Refuel?
Refuel, there we go. You could do those things for sure. Everything else, whether or not you'd be able to upgrade them, what cost would be the upgrade for them, how much would they cost, how you would even play with them, what would be the purpose of them. Exactly. These things that, you know, my colleagues here talked about, I find as speculation, and I don't do that shit, right? You see, I stick to the facts and information that I get, and, well, there's a reason why I do that, mostly because most fucking developers have, over time, basically, well, not exactly betrayed, but basically being an assholes about next updates and whatnot else. Thanks, Planet Side! Anyways, yeah, so, you see, Elite Dangerous is no different for me, right? Developers say one thing and well, I'm just gonna wait until they actually announce shit and facts about it, showcase the actual work that they've been doing and in the way that, well, actually represents the gameplay, rather than putting on a trailer of their own fucking logo that takes more time than an actual content that you want to show in that fucking trailer. You remember that, Astro?
Yeah, we had a bit laugh about that.
That was amazing! So, yeah.
I know that happened, but I can't remember which trailer it was.
That was for, I think it was the one with the crate, before the crate came out. It was one of the, I think it was Beyond. Oh wait, no, it was
a really short trailer, like 45 seconds total.
Yeah, it was about the whole Guardian not satellites, but the space, Guardian space thingamajig.
The beacons?
There we go, the beacons, yes. It was about that update. So, yeah, that they basically literally released the fucking trailer which had more screen time for the fucking game's logo. The fucking logo, that the goddamn thing itself, and even then it was just, I mean, fucking hell, right? Okay, I mean, it's cheeky and whatnot else, but it's just stupid. What kind of fucking release is that, right? Now, anyways, returning to the fleet carriers. Again, I basically ask folks to just ignore anything the developers say until they actually can, you know, release actual factual things to us to either test, or at least, at the very least, inform us about, as in a proper way, rather than, you're gonna be able to jump. That's about it. You know, that sort of a thing. No. So, yeah, and the cost, again, no one knows. What's the purpose? No one knows. And so on and so forth. No, but of course, fleet carriers were not the only things, if you allow me to move on. Yeah, actually, Astro has a topic, so go for it.
The whole Thargoid thing, I had one asking in my chat a while ago on like the status on what happened to the whole Thargoid, and I'm using a swear word here, narrative. Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Is that the personal narrative?
Yeah, we go. There we go. So just a quick recap. I think the major news this year with the Thargoids was them basically leaving the bubble. They're still around in the Pleiades, and they left out to the Witchhead Nebula, where there was some interstellar initiatives, which I guess we should cover as a separate topic in a bit. I don't know how much is going on in the Witchhead by now. As far as I can see, most of the AX people, not just AX Initiative, but most of the people doing anti-Xeno stuff, is still hanging around in the Pleiades sector because there are plenty of Thargoids to shoot down there. So I don't know how much activity there is out in the Witchhead at this time.
Probably not much.
No, that's what I'm feeling. I mean, the Interstellar Initiative for what was pretty cool.
Why did they take away gameplay? Why? Why would you do that without replacing it with something else?
Yes, that's what puzzles me as well. Maybe because they were, I don't know. If you go in and see the number of stations still under repair, it's not an insignificant number. I had a feeling that maybe they were afraid that the stations would not be repaired fast enough.
Well, if you talk to the people over at Operation Ida, they still run repair operations all the time. They run support mechanisms. They have people volunteering to head out and repair stations, do entire big runs with multiple fleets and get it done real quick. I mean, it's not like it's not being done.
No, but it's not being done at the speed that they were being destroyed at. So I know they are being, and I know about Ida and their work, but they were just not being repaired at the same speed that the Thargoids were shooting them to bits.
Well, it didn't help that there was a bug involved where not all the cargo being dropped off was being counted. So
no, that's true, yeah. But what else do we have with the Thargoids at the moment? I mean, we have people asking if they're still still like mysteries left to solve. I think some of the outstanding issues is still there was this whole chain where one base led to another, and we still think that the chain is pointing into a permit lock system. So we kind of got stuck there. And then there's the whole map that you get in like the spinning galaxy inside the bases. Sorry for spoilers. I don't think that has ever been like decoded or thought of like what the purpose of those were, other than the audio logs, of course.
No idea.
Or am I wrong?
If there is a storyline hidden there somewhere, then it's.
I don't see it. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really see it.
No, those are the only outstanding things with the Thargoids, as far as I know.
What's that movie?
And then speaking of Thargoids, that brings up another point. There was the Othris Interceptor that made an appearance, and we haven't seen it since.
Yes.
Yeah. They don't show up at Palin's base anymore?
I don't think so.
Last I heard, I think they still show up at Palin's old research center. They're not aggressive and they will flee as soon as they're
basically coded humans. To spawn in, go to point B, spawn out. There we go. So great coding, I guess. But I have a feeling that we haven't seen the last of the Thargoids in the bubble. I'm pretty sure that as part of the big release coming next year, that we're going to see them coming back to the bubble at some point.
Even the Thargoids have gone venturing to find new content.
Oh, yo.
Wow.
And they went to the Witchhead of all places.
Oh, okay.
Ouch.
Oh,
ouch.
That one hurt.
Oh, apply cold water to the burn. Right,
okay,
well then, moving on, I suppose. Right, so the next Lave things. Obviously, fleet carriers were not the only things that they talked about, and that The next thing, obviously, was the new player experience, the promised stuff that they promised and delivered later on, which ended up, at least in my opinion, really well. I liked the new, tutorial thing a lot. I'll sing its praises quite a bit, and frankly, that was really the only positive thing from the update that it came in. So there's just that my personal opinion, but what else? Anyone want to chime in on that? If not,
I actually haven't gone through the new player stuff because I haven't bothered getting a new account to try it out. But I would imagine if it's anything remotely better than what we had,
It's a lot.
I'll call it a win because
It's
it
a lot
used to
better.
be horrible.
I actually took I think I spent like 2 hours running through it very slowly, and I was specifically trying to see if I could break it. And you could get into some like not optimal situations, but you would really have to go and like sit and purposely guess which module they would ask you to use next, and then before they ask you to use it, go and turn it off in the module list and stuff like that. But other than that, they actually managed to lock down most of the interface and only allowing people to do what they were supposed to, and also foreseeing people doing stupid shit. Like there were this mission where you have to shoot something to learn how to deploy your weapons and shoot with your weapons, and they decided to try and ram the things you had to shoot. And they actually had a voice log saying, "Yeah, well that works too, but let's try to use the weapons next time."
That's pretty neat. I never actually tried to ram that stuff.
That's pretty well done.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. Any other thoughts? No. Well, all right. Is there actually any? Pilot's question about is there more unrevealed content within the game? And I think developers will pretty much say, "Oh, yeah, probably." Who knows?
Well, I mean, we could always do.
Like Raxla Horpadorp.
Yeah, exactly. We could do the classic argument: is there a Raxla? I don't think that there is.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
Right. Well, LaveCon had very little in it, but there was one more thing. That everyone oh so much enjoyed, especially me. And that was introduction of new UI pieces and, of course, the new...
Dreaded.
Yes, the Monopoly money, the ARX points, the premium currency that I can't go without telling you, folks. It is made to confuse you and make you forget how much you're spending in the game in order to siphon more cash out of you, in order to provoke you to spend money and more. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here to take the exact opposite view and say it has also allowed Frontier to give us, rather than give us the free ARC we've been gaining. I know it's not been a lot, but it's accumulated if you logged in every day. You could actually go out and buy yourself a pretty nice paint job that you could select yourself. They couldn't have done that if it had implemented ARCs. So it has brought something positive. I know they cost us the fleet carriers.
That's a perfect argument. So basically, they're essentially giving out quote-unquote free stuff, so you can unlock stuff, so on and so forth, which is kind of nice, of course. Now, I'll try to make it brief, but see, I don't see that as a positive thing. I personally see essentially them giving you that first free hit. Well, if I may use the drug reference there, as a way to entice you to go to their store, to be advertised.
Mentally devaluing the currency so that it means nothing to you.
There's also that. First of all, you're being enticed to go to the store once you have enough free stuff to try it out, and maybe buy something. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. As if you didn't pay money, good money, for this game in the first place. And the next one, obviously, is to have some sort of a reserve amount left in your wallet. And some people will, of course, majority, as a matter of fact, like 90-something% or whatnot else, won't really, go and buy extra arcs points in order to, just spend that whatever leftover you had on something, just so, you spent it, you had something, toss in a fiver and be done with it, right? Sort of a thing. But say, that's still, they get your money regardless. And for a premium game, that again, you pay in order to play in the first place, microtransactions like these should not fucking exist. And if they don't affect you, or you say that they don't affect you, well, guess what? They're not aimed at you. And I'll always say that. There's a reason why I said that. And, well, I guess, again, I'm getting into a rant, so...
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, let's move on. Arcs, in my opinion, horrible thing. And also prices went up, by the way, so enjoy that. So... That was
the
was
thing that
wave
annoys me
update.
about it, though, is that there's no gifting anymore. Because that's how I used to do my.
Oh yeah,
giveaways
they
and
haven't
stuff on
implemented
stream.
gifting yet. They said that they would, but nothing of it
Yeah,
yet.
that's the part that drives me crazy. Is like I want to do some in-game events, but I need some like giveaway materials, and I really don't like relying solely on handout codes from Frontier to do it. So.
Yeah,
Ugh.
you can't gift people the fucking spoiler for Type 10, can't you anymore, Paroxysm, huh? For context, folks, he actually gifted me the goddamn double spoiler paint job. No, wait, it was the ship kit. There we go, for Type 10.
Yeah, I sent you the ship kit
back
for the
in the
Type
day.
10 because it drove you so crazy
Oh my
that
God.
I had to force you to use it. It was the greatest thing ever. Money
I
well
feel that
spent.
Paroxysm
No.
really just simply hates me. It's not a gift, it's a goddamn curse, it feels.
Okay.
Uh,
I actually have a
Best money
very small topic here. I've been trying now for the last 15 minutes to get my anaconda to sit down on a bloody planet. Proxima, I would assume you've been landing a lot. Have you noticed that ship seems to be not locking in, even though it says everything is blue and you're well aligned and all is good and you're touching down, but it just doesn't land?
I've
had
noticed
this-
that a few times. It's
the problem is that,
it's happened to
see-
me numerous times over the last few years, and it seems to be for some reason the game thinks you're lined up, but you're obviously freaking not.
See,
And so
the
when you
way
try and
game
touch down, it just
calculates
doesn't-
whether or not there is enough space or it can land, see, usually, I would imagine, at least, that every ship has some sort of a detection method, be that a simple, sphere, collision sphere or something, some sort of a thing underneath its landing gear that would sense whatever stuff is underneath that landing gear and whether or not the surface is okay for you to land on it. See, the problem with that is also that it doesn't take into account, I would assume, anything in between. So if you have some sort of something that would prevent contact with the ground, a full docking, yeah, then you'd have problem. So I would assume that's how it gives that false positive. But again, I'm just guessing here. But I've seen similar sort of techniques in the actually planet side, as a matter of fact, with building. So there you go. Hopefully that answered that.
I just never had this many issues before, and it was the same last week. I just wonder if they changed anything with the landing detection thing, because normally, yeah, the conda is not the easiest thing to put on a planet, but I've never had this many issues.
Yeah,
Normally
actually, I'm
you
watching
rocket-
your stream. This is
Normally you could rocket around. Like if I'm sitting here, what I would normally do is I would just thrust downwards, and it would auto level itself. And even if I'm sitting here bobbing the thing around on the surface, it's just not locking in. I have no idea what they've done, but I'm pretty sure something has changed.
It's the surface for the most part, I'd say.
Yeah, I would try moving to a spot that's nearby and see if it does the same thing there.
I've been at 10 different spots in the last couple of minutes. And
Oh, and it does it at each one?
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
the game
I'm watching
hates
him.
you, basically.
Ah,
There you go.
Jesus.
The game hates you.
He's fully blue. He's fully aligned. He's actually supposed to be. I'm watching him do it, and it's just not letting him land.
All right. Anyways, right. So we are at the summer, and LaveCon is past. Now, the next thing, obviously, is the update itself. So, when did they? Oh god damn it! When did they release the first new player update? Does anyone remember?
No.
I honestly don't know.
Was that August start? Because we all know about the fucking September update, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But when did they release that update? Jesus Christ! Oh god, need to remember things. No good. Oh, chats, help us out. Anyone remember when the first new player update came out? Jeez. Oh, professional from us, right? Let's see. Oh god, now I need to look. Well,
Wasn't that? No, that wasn't August.
We are the dream makers.
oh
We are the
yeah,
dancers.
you know it. Jeez. Ah, it's right. Okay, now I just think. Damn it, think. Ah.
We could always just.
Oh wait,
Google it.
yeah, right. April. Right, the first, right now, thank you. Right. The first update was basically after the April update, right? So that first update introduced the new player systems. You know, the thing that basically you get when, well, you create a new character. You can run about in these relatively simple sort of new player friendly systems where you get basically simpler missions that you can complete and get some money until you get first any rank in anything, trade, exploration or combat, and then you get that permit for those systems revoked, so you can't go back once you leave them. So that was that update, and it was I guess. So then, after the Lave update, then came the September update. There we go. So who wants to open up the
One
September
that
update?
broke everything.
Yes.
How did it
The
broke?
one- it will
Okay,
henceforth
just
the
give the
one that
folks at
broke
home who
everything.
perhaps just tuned in on Elite Dangerous in general, what happened in the September update this year.
I'm touchdown. Woo! Sorry.
Congratulations. Clap, clap. Carry on.
Clap, clap.
That was
All right,
harder
so
than
let's see.
getting like combat elite. God
Yes.
damn it.
If you actually had a ship kit on a cutter, the game crashed every time you tried to jump out of the system.
No, it didn't crash.
I
It just
remember
simply
that
didn't
being-
allow you to jump out. It just simply
Oh, that's
didn't
right,
allow
yeah.
you to jump out. It would stay at 100% charge, and you would stick there. Basically.
Oh no, that was the Clipper. The Clipper,
Oh,
not the
that
cutter.
was the Clipper. That was the Clipper. Yes. So what else happened in the September update?
Prices were wrong. Mechanics wouldn't work. Everything that Arcs touched was broken, basically.
Not even
You
that,
could
as a matter of fact.
Collecting a fragment would cause crash to desktops when mining.
Oh, the
The
lipids,
mission
yeah.
board, folks, was broken. If the mission board spawned in too many missions and you scrolled down, it would completely lock your game. And the only way you could get it back was, I think, to look to your, to your right, open up another panel. In this case, that would be engineers, that would reset the main panel, and you would get the screen back. But yeah, it essentially broke the game, and it was a completely unrelated issue to whatever they introduced, because they introduced a new store, Arcs Points, a new tutorial, and livery lookup,
Livery.
Showcase sort of the camera thing, and that's all they introduced, and it broke unrelated things in horrendous ways. Did I miss anything else? I take
I'm
that
not
as
sure
a
they
no.
were unrelated. I think the problem was that
Well,
was that
seemingly unrelated. Seemingly.
yeah, because every time you did a thing that could be collect a fragment when mining, it would count up some imaginary like arc point behind the back, and when you have enough arc points, congratulations, you got yourself an arc. So that's why I think arc broke so many things.
Oh, yeah, you could buy and
but the
sell
mission
the
board.
fuel scoop.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you-
What?
I mean, you can
What?
still do that. You can buy and
Yeah,
sell
yeah.
modules, expensive modules, and you get ARX points for it. That's probably the easiest and fastest way to get ARX points, if you're into such a thing, which I would recommend not being, but regardless. See, that wasn't the thing. It just doesn't make sense when, you know, introduction of new store and things like that breaks a fucking mission board. And especially with the fucking cosmetic makes a clipper literally well, invincible.
Unplayable.
It's just the thing is, for most part, there were a lot of UI issues as well. It wasn't the only UI issue and what else, and of course also the game stuff. So, well, after seeing how absolutely horrible it was, the community, of course, obviously said, hey, I'll use, you know, kind words here. Hey, this thing is not working. A lot. And this is the kindest I can put it. Now, developers, well, they took their sweet time. They took their sweet time to fix it. Or, actually, no, they didn't really fix it. First, they issued a quote-unquote workaround, which introduced essentially a mission that you couldn't pick up. That apparently fixed something, or at least didn't, you know, allow the game to crash, or at least that part crash and a few other little things. And during the next, I think, 3 weeks, they released 3 patches, or was it just 2 patches? Regardless, the point is, they took their sweet time and released a patch each week, which also kind of broke some things sometimes. So, there was a lot of, let's just say, not so happy folks around the community, and, well, that culminated with a, well, essential plea for better elites from the community, or, well, what would some call supposed community members, myself included in some ways. So, see, a lot of us, the community members, be that player group leaders, what else, came together to make an open letter to Frontier to discuss, or rather encourage, some talks, some exchange of opinions and what else, and of course, well, sort of mention the not so good things happening with the game, and the result of it was interesting. And we're yet to see
still kind of
results of it. Now, of course, there was that so-called open letter. So I'll let someone else perhaps go over it in a gist. Again, don't need to be
It's outside my wheelhouse, so someone else can take that one.
I
who
wrote
wants
some.
to-
That first letter I wrote was much better than what we ended up pushing out. And I still think that we went the wrong direction with it. I don't think we should have focused on pushing for fixes or anything. I think we should have pushed for the open player run community council. I really do.
They would never have agreed to it, to be honest.
I think it would have been important to try.
That's your idea as to what should have happened. Explain, folks who perhaps don't know, what happened with the open letter, or open, whatchamahazards, request. We called it a request. So,
well, basically we
just some bullet points. Go over some bullet points, just to get the gist of it.
We all got into Discord. We all argued about it. A lot of it. There were too many cooks in the kitchen, and we ended up arguing for pushed back development time so that they would fix their bugs and put in a player test server that we wanted to be permanent, but ended up being 2 weeks. Yeah, that's it. That's the bullet points.
Okay, well,
That's what we got.
okay, I'll try and do, again, there are a few things that need to be mentioned about it. So first things first, obviously a lot of people didn't like what Frontier was doing, so we were asking whether or not Frontier would be willing to provide a beta for betas for next updates, and well, as we can actually see, they have actually provided, I think it was the December December beta for January update that they want to push out again in January, so next month. So that's the first thing that apparently was granted, at least seemingly right now. But that particular beta, in at least my personal opinion, didn't really have anything interesting in it. It didn't really help us test much. There were some super minor things, but well, all right, fine, fair enough. Beta is beta, I guess. Now, we did not ask to have the progress of ongoing updates to be postponed. And that's the important thing. In that request that we made, or other people made, and me as a media person, reported on, the people didn't ask for updates to be, or things to be postponed. And yet Frontier saw an opportunity to postpone stuff. Not sure exactly why, but well, whatever the reason may be that
disagree.
Because
I think we actually did have that line in the final letter that said, we would that we would prefer to postpone. That we would prefer
we
to
didn't
postpone
request
until...
it. The thing is, it's just sort of a opinion, well, I guess not opinion, but a wish, sort of, that we would rather have, a fixed game rather than that, but we didn't specify that we wanted it. Yeah, so... But regardless, the point is...
To be honest, I would much rather... I know the amount of... I mean, we haven't seen the final patch note yet for what's actually coming in the January update, to be fair.
Yeah,
and
there's nothing
there will
yet.
most likely be another, as far as I understand, bug fix update later next year. But so far, I have to give credit to Frontier that they actually say, like, it cannot have been an easy decision for them to say something they have already postponed once. Whoops, wrong trigger there. There's something they've already postponed once, being the fleet carriers, then re-announced and having to re-postpone that again.
Yes.
But the fact that they actually did that and now is going out and trying to actively fix bugs, and even some of the bugs where they seem to have a lot of trouble getting that right, they're implementing additional logging. They're actually giving it a honest shot to try and get this game at least a little bit less buggy. A lot of it is around the Thargoid stuff, which is one of the more buggy areas of the game. And I think one of the main reasons why we've seen so many fixes to the Thargoid stuff is because the AX initiative is very active on the request tracker and encouraging people to go and vote there. So that's why we're
yes, they gave us also, the voting for things that we want to see changed, right? That's another thing that we as a community went on and asked for, a potential thing, and the third thing that I think we asked also was for a better way to communicate, or at least the community team to be granted better tools and more, I guess, authority to talk with the community.
Yeah. Let your community people talk with your
essentially that sort of thing. But we'll see whether or not that materializes ever or whatnot else. I mean, me as a content creator and a media person, I mean, sure, I'm getting codes when I ask some questions here and there. If I poke them again and again, they might answer, which I have had. So which is nice, I guess. But for everyone else, well. Yeah. Regardless, so that was the request. And anyone else got details they want to discuss? No. Okay.
No,
I did notice
nothing comes to mind right this second.
I mean, I think personal thing is it's okay that they went with a bug fixing approach, and I mean, as much as I would have liked to see fleet carriers as a Christmas present and be flying around, did it right now. I see where Frontier's coming from, right? They were in a situation where they had two developing teams, right? They wanted to both do bug fixes, they wanted to finish up the fleet carriers, and they wanted to keep focus on the large update coming out next year. So pick two, and well, then they had decided to focus on fixing some bugs, getting the game less buggy, and then postponing fleet carriers. Which again, I think that makes sense.
I'm gonna say that I think that probably would have happened regardless of us anyway, simply because the September update broke so
Yeah.
much.
I'm
that there was
absolutely
just
sure.
no way. Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
no way that the carriers would ever have come out correct in the first run. You know,
I agree. I'm absolutely sure that the main reason why that the fleet carriers got postponed was because the additional workload they got after the December update. Like they spent almost a month of developing time fixing that.
yeah.
And I think that's what cost us the fleet carriers in the end. And then, yes, they could have postponed it 1 month and then got it at the end of January. But then I think they said, okay, we're going to take this opportunity now. We're going to postpone it again. Let's push it far away so they can be absolutely sure they're going to be able to finish it and then spend the remaining time ironing out bugs, which makes perfect sense to me.
So in the end, we did nothing. Don't blame us, folks.
We gave them a good sort of a reason to do a postponing of something that they already, I assume, honestly, they wanted to postpone in the first place. Just that we gave them a convenient excuse. So actually, there's an interesting thing about fleet carriers that I do want to mention now. You see, fleet carriers were announced on 2017 in Frontier Expo on October. I think it was October 7th. There we go.
Wait,
how do I
Fleet
know?
Carriers was there
Yes, they did announce
at
it
the
on
expo?
It was announced in
Yeah, they were.
Expo 2017, October
Yep.
7th.
That's a long time ago.
I know that date precisely because that was one of the first, sort of days when all right, actually, that was the first time I traveled to UK alone, or actually anywhere, to be honest. So yay, a poor little Latvian. But yeah, anyways, the point is, that was a particularly interesting timeline, isn't it? So it was 2017 at the end of the year, and we are here currently in 2019, and it's December 28th. It has been more than 2 years of that particular thing in development. Since its announcement, of course, let's not forget that announcement should have come with already something being developed beforehand. So that kind of tells you that there has been either A, massive delays for that particular feature, the question is then why, or B, it was announced as a, basically last minute addition to the presentation that they made for that expo, and for some reason didn't really think it would be that hard to make. And that last minute decision essentially caused them, fleet carriers apparently not being developed. And so for these last 2 years, at the very least, they have been developed. Probably. So you have to start questioning what is it taking them so long to make what essentially is a megaship reskin with additional controls.
Well, part of me wonders, this got brought up in my chat, and part of me wonders if their announcement for fleet carriers was supposed to be more, we're looking at adding this, not we've already started working on it.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was supposed to be what the original thing was, instead of, look at this, we've already started working on it, expect it soon.
Well, that's what you usually expect when you announce things. See, the only sort of a project or projects that would, you'd assume would have things as in, we plan on making this thing, sort of a promise, is kickstarted ones, and we'll talk about this one later, but, something like Star Citizen. But, Elite is a game that developers multiple times have actually told me directly that, they don't want to announce anything at all, unless it's, at least somewhat ready, right? So if that's true with everything about what they say, fleet carriers should have been already developed, at least to some degree, back when they announced it, back in 2017. So more than 2 years they have been developed. I'm just scratching my head here and sort of thinking.
I think it's the main. I think it's the large change. I think they must have started at some point thinking this is going to be a squadron thing. This is going to be the thing that's going to give Squadron a meaning. That's gonna make Squadrons make sense, right? That was the whole point of Squadrons, that we had fleet carriers.
Maybe.
But then they changed the focus from it being a Squadron-owned thing to suddenly being a personal-owned thing. The only reason why I can see them doing that is either because there's been so many people like be complaining that they wouldn't be able to get a fleet carrier because a squadron would require, I think they said 5 people in a squadron before you could even try to build a fleet carrier. So they would have to refocus it under to suddenly being a personal thing. That could potentially meant that a lot of the activities around it would have to be redesigned. They would basically have to go back to the drawing board, rethinking how fleet carriers is going to work in the game. I think it's something like that happened that caused a lot of delays.
Well, that's the thing with Elite Dangerous, isn't it? In the same community request that we made, we wanted just more communication that, well, kind of causes issues like this when you're just left wondering, the fuck are you doing, guys, essentially?
Why don't they want to talk about new things that they're developing? What's the value
The thing
there?
is, okay, so here's where TheYamiks actually is gonna defend fucking Frontier. I like that Frontier actually is going out and not talking about, we want to make this, or we one of our guys sort of, played around with this idea, like with Star Citizen and many other games, where they just simply announce things and then they really not materialize at all, ever. See, Frontier...
That's the onus on them then, not us.
Well, that is true. But you see, game development, as many developers will often say, it's so fucking terribly difficult and whatnot else oftentimes and whatnot else. Yes, that's true. It can be difficult. But the thing is, not always it has to be. So, yes, indeed, as Pilot said, it has to. Or was it production? Sorry, crap. Anyway, it's onus on them, right? So, yeah, you have to sort of reach the compromise between announcing things, at least in decent time, and not keeping your fans and, essentially your players waiting, thinking, scratching their heads, thinking... Are we in the fucking maintenance phase already, or are devs dead? Is this game dying or something? See,
I disagree. I want to know what everything that they are working on. I want to know every single thing, and I want to know when it fails. If it fails, we're not getting it.
I want to
admire them for being honest.
I want the same thing. See, I absolutely love, seeing behind the scenes. I wanted to be a game developer myself. And in some ways, I still can kind of try and do. But whatever. The point is, I like the behind the scenes. I like to see the craftsman work its craft and make something and just produce something and see how they do it. That is what I really like. The problem is, though, well, Elite, they just don't want to talk about it. But there's also the fact that you just can't really show everything. You shouldn't also show everything. But I don't know. It's
well, I gotta tell you, those weekly.
Well, he says, "Elite Dangerous is still a community of enthusiastic dreamers. Announce something, and the hype train goes boost, boost.
That's again, that's Star Citizen, my friend." That's
Elite does it too.
Oh, Elite does it plenty, of course, as well. Yes, that's true. So, yeah. Well, it is.
I'm not going to praise FDev for this.
Huh?
I'm not going to praise FDev for this, saying, "Oh, we're only going to." No, I'm sorry, because you know what? It's not doing anybody any good. You're too secretive. It's
the way Frontier does it is way too closed off. The thing is, they are way too closed off, and they're essentially like they're basically like a single-player game developer rather than a live service piece of shit developer.
But this is a live service.
This is a live service, so they should adapt to it, but they haven't. And the question is, why? Yeah, well, in any case, so that was the September update in some ways and so on and so forth. So December update, as we mentioned, was basically cancelled, or rather postponed, rather. So that leads us to, again, as I mentioned, the beta of January update, which held nothing interesting, to be honest. It worked, so that was nice. It had some decent changes. Well, some quality of life things, but way too little and way too few. For me to actually call it decent. What else? It was basically them exercising not fucking up. And that shouldn't really be praised, to be honest. Or should it? I don't know. Well, regardless. And that's pretty much the end in the general terms of Elite's development and recap of it. Though there is one thing that I would mention later, but others, folks, hello, you want to mention something specific that I didn't?
I think we've been through most. Only thing that I think that's left is, I don't know. If we want to briefly talk about the content update coming at the end of next year, like what are we hoping for, like hopes and dreams kind of thing. I know you hate to speculate, Yamiks, but I like.
No, I mean it's fine, fair enough. Go for it.
I want a spacewalk.
All I want to do is fly around in a gas giant so I can engage in submarine warfare with people. That's all I want to do.
Well, that
Pick it
was
up,
great
guys.
speculation.
Come on, dead air.
I'm about to crash.
All right, so to basically go over some leaks that happened before, those that haven't heard, again, well, there was an interesting sort of a quote-unquote leak. I'll just quote-unquote it because, well, it's hard to kind of prove it right or wrong, but thus far it has been correct, so it has some validity to it. Regardless, a little while back, around April, there was, I think it was around April, there was some interesting post on 4chan of all places that somebody listed interesting things about Elite Dangerous and Frontier's upcoming things. Now, this person did mention that there would be some DLCs coming for the Planet Coaster, I think it was, Jurassic World, and a new game that is like Planet Coaster, and that turned out to be Planet Zoo, which was correct. So was the DLCs as well. Now, there was also, of course, something about Elite Dangerous, and that something about Elite Dangerous was, of course, the 2020 updates details. And there were two things mentioned in it. One of them would be, yes, the first-person module, if you will. The first-person thing, basically being able to, I guess, apparently walk around or something. It was not specified. And the second thing was... Can anyone remember?
I think it was base building of some kind.
Yes, base building. Folks, apparently there will be base building. So basically we're making a No Man's Sky here. So we'll see whether or not that comes out.
I hope it's going to be a lot different than what we get in No Man's Sky. I think, so if you might recall earlier in the year that Frontier posted a job offer for people who would write, like someone to write them an AI. I can't remember exactly the wording, but it was for a computer game with like 400 billion star systems. So I wonder which computer game that can be. I hope that what we're going to see is going to be a whole industrial site to Elite. Like, what I want to do is I want to set up automatic mining systems. I basically want Satisfactory in Elite. Less maybe, but along those lines. Something like that would be awesome. So
you want an economy.
Yes. Not necessarily an economy, because economy would mean you would be able to trade things between players, and I still don't think Frontier wants to do that. But I want, when I've been sitting in a ring for 2 hours mining, I want something else to do with my materials, to just fly to the nearest station and sell it off to some random NPC. I want to reprocess it. I want to build it into other commodities. I mean, there's a lot of commodities in the game. Like there could be also like harvesters, personal weapons, drugs, medicine, everything. There we go. We all demonetized.
Drugs! I want drugs!
But my point is, if we could build a surface factory or something like that, that could both have mining drills, that could pull materials out of the planets. I mean, we already have all the statistics on what materials are in the planets. And I could start a small production line. I could feed it with stuff that maybe the stuff that I mine and fly between that kind of thing. That would be something that you would have to sit and maintain. And I would love something like that.
I would absolutely love to go to a Guardian site, find a blueprint, bring it back to my base that I've built, gather the resources myself, and you can't buy this ship, you can only build it.
Yeah, you would have to go and find, we have blueprint fragments already, so get enough fragments, and eventually you can start a small, put it into like a research thingy, and it finally managed to build up the whole blueprint, and then you can build this module, and you have to go and do it on your own. Yes, somebody would say it's just a ton of grind, but actually I think that would be a lot of fun to go and discover stuff like that.
Rare ship that only you can have if you really work at it, yes.
And especially if it's stuff that you can, not only modules, but if it's stuff you can also sell at the end. So it would be like a quote unquote, not real a passive income, because you would have to sit and maintain it and make sure that the supply line keeps running. But a whole industrial site to lead, and the universe would fit perfectly for something like that. I
want Eve's economy here. I really do.
Yeah,
I'm not even shy about it.
Like, I think one of the main reasons why we don't see any player-to-player trading in the league is still, I think, because Frontier is so afraid of the game suddenly being flooded with farmers that will just farm it and then start third-party sites where you sell.
In Elite Dangerous is a big thing. Let's be clear about that.
No, we're gonna have more players. Oh, that'd be so terrible.
Not necessarily. The thing is, there was actually another interesting controversy this year about Elite Dangerous, and that was, of course, the cheating topic. See, there was a relatively easy cheating tool that was available, I don't know, somewhere. So basically, there was actually a famous case, relatively speaking, where somebody actually used that tool to basically block a station's mail slot with the Beluga. With using, basically using that cheat thing and basically being invincible. So he basically showcased how easy it is essentially to cheat in Elite Dangerous by just downloading some fucking whatchamahazard's Russian coded script kiddie dildo thingamajig and run it on your PC. And the same thing happens with botting as well. Basically, somebody coding a manual, automatic sort of a script or what and else that basically does thing or two about the game and trades mostly, and that's how I wouldn't say most, but notable part of BGS quote unquote players influence BGS. So yeah, that's an interesting side note there. So yeah, that's
there's a background there's a background story to the guy and how he got banned, and it turns out it wasn't his first offense, and then it was, and then it wasn't, and a lot of mistaken reporting and this and that. But
the point was that it really wasn't. Again, I don't care about his offenses or not. He just simply showcased how fucking easy it is. Just go on one side, download this who knows what, and just basically break the game. And yeah, the funny thing is, Elite apparently does have anti-cheat system, and it's the Watchdog anti-cheat system, which basically is useless at this point. I mean, that also rose a few other questions about the Elite Dangerous, so that was another interesting thing that happened this year. So, yeah, well.
Only other tiny topic is NPC pilots getting escape pods. So
and pet rocks can have their face painted on them too. I mean,
yeah, that's nice. I like it.
Yeah. It's gonna come next year, I think. Should we? Anything else for Elite?
Before we move on to the general gaming in retrospect, I do want to mention that there was also an interesting sort of a case. I mean, a personal case, I suppose. So a little while before the September update, if I remember. Oh wait, no, it was after the September update. I released a list of questions in order to attempt to communicate with the developers, to sort of prompt them to discuss interesting things about the game, and just basically ask them 100 questions in different topics, different categories about the game, be that past, present, or in very rare cases, future, because let's be honest, I don't expect developers to talk about the future of Elite Dangerous, so I try to avoid those questions. So I basically asked the questions about, for example, Vulkan. Have they tried, implementing Vulkan in the game, or DirectX 12? Why, for example, graphics change on a specific setting or something like that? Or, for example, whether or not there is Raxley in the game, or what led the design of, for example, Gutamaya seats being unique to every other ship. Questions that range from interesting, softball, and even some hardballs. So yeah, I tried my fucking best to prompt them to communicate. Did I get an answer? Fuck no! And that was one of the things that was, well, heartbreaking, to be honest. Not because I put in a lot of work and, put in questions and what it does and formatted it all and what it does. It was just heartbreaking because it was a really positive way that I tried doing it in a positive way and an interesting way to communicate with developers. And instead of that, there was silence. And the thing is, I did contact the PR people, the community people about this thing. And the answer was the usual, well, if I remember, I'll toss it to the team or something. Again, not their words. It's just my sort of recollection thing. So, yeah, whether or not the community team didn't push it forward, or whether or not the developers themselves just simply decided to ignore it. Well, regardless of which case it was basically a confirmation in some ways. I mean, fine, maybe it was because I posted it, because I'm a cunt, and you know me, right? That posted that stuff, and they didn't want to answer or acknowledge that. But even so, it wasn't.
All right.
But anyways, they just don't
I think
want
we need
to
move on. we're getting a little angry and sad and depressing. I think we should probably pick up the mood a little bit. Let's talk about something we all like this year.
So this is like if we talk about updates or stuff we did in Elite this year.
I don't care as long as it's
for me. It will be general gaming. For me, it will be definitely general gaming stuff. So go for whatever you want.
All right, in Elite, I think one of my favorite projects this year has been like taking my alt and moving him to Colonia. That has been a surprising amount of fun, flying out and trying to live in Colonia. So that's highly recommended if you don't mind leaving the bubble.
I like filming in Colonia. It's always a lot prettier.
It is pretty out there.
The center of the galaxy is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I tried getting to something interesting in the outer rims or outer arms of the galaxy, and it was horrible. Never, ever travel to the fucking outer arms of the galaxy in this game. It's horrible. Please don't make the same mistake I did. God.
Or go too far up or down. It just gets so dark. You can't see anything.
Not only it gets dark, it just gets so boring. Yeah. Fucking hell.
I don't know. I kind of like it.
Oh, you're weird. Then.
Out in the middle of nowhere. But then again, I'm weird like that, though, too. So
yeah,
I do like seeing the disc. I like seeing the flat plane in front of me and realizing I'm so far away from it. That does make me feel small, and I feel grateful. But I can't film, man. There's no light sources.
Exactly. I know, right? It's just, it looks interesting, but then I'm trying to film my asp in front of things, sort of a meme clip, but god damn it, there's no light. It's just a black blob floating in front of something bright.
And the headlight don't really cut it, do they, when you have to illuminate a whole planet?
No.
My favorite thing for this year is yet to happen, because it's going to happen after I get this ship docked, and then I get to blow it up after I sell all this data. Screw you, Nuke, you bastard. You are responsible for this.
Where have you been out on a trip, I assume?
Okay, so here's what happened. You guys know that I was away for a few months due to personal issues. Well, a friend of mine did me a favor and did some material gathering on my behalf while I was gone. So then when I log back in, I'm 30 plus thousand light years away, stuck in a freaking orca in the middle of freaking nowhere. And all he says is, have fun, bitch.
Oh,
That's actually funny.
You
Yeah.
got a definitive goal.
And he left in my inventory an entire ton of Kitten brand coffee, a Hutton mug, Lavian brandy, and a ton of bio waste.
Well, you deserve it, you shit.
Eat my ass.
Never. It stinks.
So yeah, I'm about 2,500, 3,000 light years away from home. I'm going to turn in all this stinking exploration data, and then I'm going to blow this thing up because it's an orca and it deserves to die.
And remember to take the last 2,000 light years in open so you can get caught by a pirate somewhere.
No, I'm going to sell the data first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to sell the data first because there's some first discoveries. See, this is what he did to make sure that I flew all the way back to turn in the data. He did some first discoveries and mapping and stuff like that on the way out there. So there's actually a sizable sum of data. Yeah. So evil little bastard.
Yes. Bravo. I completely and absolutely approve. Asshole tip number 1.
Malicious compliance.
Oh boy.
My favorite and my worst moment, I think lately was I did the Cobra video, and I was so happy with that
Cobra 4
shot. The Cobra 4 video. Yeah. I got this shot, this opening shot where I come up on the ship from the substitute ship from in front of a star, and I'm so happy. I figured out how to get the camera to swoop like that, and I got it perfect. And I thought, this is going to be amazing. Everyone's going to be so happy. The people who have been asking me to do this have gotten to see it. The people who aren't expecting it are going to be surprised. It's going to be great. And a few people loved it. And the vast majority of the comments are, hey, you used the wrong audio track with the wrong video. Did you know that? Did you know that you screwed this up? Okay.
Well,
I can tell you, I'm pretty sure that I don't know how many videos you post, but I would probably promise you that both, at least I have, and I'm probably sure also Yamiks has probably some videos where you think, yeah, I kind of wish that never happened, but well, it's there now, and I guess that's how it is.
Yep, let's live it there now. Oh well.
Yeah. Oh, I guess
should we move on to some general, like, what have happened in computer games other than...
exclude me. Yeah, thank you. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
What's your happy moment? Yeah.
Right. It's gonna be tying into the general happy vibes, I guess, for this year. So first things first, obviously, for me was a massive surprise and a massive positive thing that proved that our games are still really fun. That, for me this year, that a Rebel Galaxies Outlaws came out. Yes, there we go. It has absolutely amazing music. It really is. It's just, I opened the fucking game and it's like, it blasts me with this great blues, I think it was, and it's just oh, it was so good. So yeah, that was the thing, and obviously I got to talk directly one-to-one with developers, with messages and all that stuff, and managed to make at least some sort of review, what else. But it's just one of those few games that I haven't yet finished it, but the point is, I really liked, and it was a really nice little game. And yeah, what else there is to be said? It's just great. Of course, there have been a few other games that I played throughout this year. I mean, fucking hell, I just recently finished Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, right? That is fucking great. So recommended definitely that.
Well, I know you and I talked about this a little bit. That I like the concept of Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. I like the first one. But
Never
I
played
can't.
the first one though.
It's not. It's. I liked it, but I can't stand the user interface. The tiny windshield with the massive cockpit.
It has its own style. Well, I'm not
It
really
does.
keen on the the visuals. Oftentimes, I can see the style and I can absolutely appreciate it. Even though I personally,
I can definitely
lukewarm about
right.
it mostly.
I'd rather watch someone else play it.
All right, fair enough. So yeah. Right. Any other games? Hold on. Let me just go through my.
Should we go X4? I think that's one of the all like major titles this year.
Go
want
for
that
it.
game
I'll
to be
probably
good
pick
so
up some
bad.
other.
Have you
things
tried
to
it
rant
yet?
About, yeah.
I had it on day one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your thoughts on it then? Because
I love the economy. I love that I can go out there and build my own empire, that I can build my own stations, I can take over sectors, I can start a little tiny corporate business that gets along with everybody, or I can start a warmongering pirate fleet that hates everyone, or I can side with the overpowered Paranids and whatever. Or I could go hijack other ships or collect or go salvage other ships that have been laying around dead. I think all that is amazing and wonderful and everything I've ever wanted in a space game. And I'm kind of bored.
I'm honestly surprised. You said so many good things and not a single thing about the horrendous and absolutely disgusting UI. I mean, Jesus Christ, what horrible fucking thing is that? But
and it's broken.
Oh God!
Some commands don't work. Some miners don't work. Some this doesn't work.
It's just.
Yeah.
I like the idea of X4. I like that they tried, and there are some amazing things. For example, if you like to trade, it's probably one of the better games out there with the space team and stuff and management, right? For that, it's really good. For other gameplays, it's just, for example, how to take over a ship. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, how much more menu shit can you go through to actually take a ship? Right?
No. There's a trick to it. You grab a Minotaur, you load it up with Marines, you go and wait until this giant capital ship is fighting someone else. Wait till they get about 60%, then launch your Marines at that ship. Tell them to dock immediately and take the ship while without any preparation. They'll take it, and if you time it right, you'll take over the ship just before it explodes. The other person will stop firing, and you've got a free capital ship. Awesome.
Well, all right, fair enough. There are some interesting things about X4. I agree, and the wonderful thing is that they just keep on making it and adding things to it. So yeah, even though I despise a lot of that game, I just absolutely despise that UI. It's just, how can you even call that a UI? But regardless, it has a charm, if you will. So there is that.
Astro, what do you think of it?
I absolutely loved the first 12, 15, 20 hours of the game. When I was flying around on my own, like the whole, with fear of spoiling things, like the whole main storyline with the character you meet that you then later come to actually see, and you're just so blown away that you didn't even know who you were talking to, and like that storyline was so good. And flying around, like discovering these broken down satellites that you run around and fix and salvage them from, or find a broken ship and that kind of stuff. Loved that. And I had a blast with it. Then you come into what I would probably expect to be like mid-game, main-ish, when the game kind of changed for me from being this around exploring space to being, well, I'm suddenly like stuck in a middle management job, and I'm managing this like medium-sized fleet of ships, and there is absolutely no point in me ever undocking again.
Yep, exactly.
I got to the point where I logged in and I said, oh, I need to go and do this, and that today. I have this long list of things. Okay, so I'm just going to send that ship over to do that thing. That ship will do that thing, and this bulk of ships will go and mine over here. And then I'm just sitting here in the station, and well, I really hope I got one with a window, because I'm not going to leave this room for a while.
Yeah, it's
I wouldn't actually mind if I had an office.
well, you can build your own station too, so technically you can have it.
I guess so. But
I mean,
that's
yeah, there's
that's yeah. Yeah,
But
I
But
love
yeah,
the
it's literally just resource management at basically after you learn how to get things. I mean, you can get to that resource management phase in 5 hours or so. So
Yeah, but you don't have to stay there. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to become a drone.
That's true. Yes. Yes.
You
but
could
that's-
stay out in your frigate.
But
you
that's the
know?
more efficient way of playing the game. We are, as gamers, oftentimes just, sort of compelled to just go and do the more profitable thing, the more easy route, and, so on and so forth, or the cheeky way. Oftentimes, when you're bored with that straight line, best way, then you look for alternatives. For example, not going to, what was the first city in Skyrim? Damn it. River something. God damn it. Anyway.
River Run.
Whiterun?
No, the little town. Anyways, going
River
to that.
Run.
Yeah, River Run.
River Run.
River Run. Ah.
Instead of going there, going the opposite way, completely, right? That's
what I
sort
did.
of a thing you do in your second or third playthrough or what else, rather than your first. Because, when you first try the game,
Okay,
you
well,
try to...
actually, that's a great point. That's a great point. Actually, that is not what I did on my second run. That was my first run. I immediately fucked off into the mountains. And I'll tell you why, because I knew it was a Bethesda game and I could do that. And a lot of people who are into the X series know that there is no point. You can literally just start off and do whatever the hell you want to do.
Well, yeah, and actually, I personally enjoyed the traveling. For me, probably the most enjoyable thing was first getting onto that hyper lane or whatever was it called. Basically, the thing that goes the biggest loop around. I mean, I fucking loved that. Once I discovered that was like, huh, well, this is neat. And after a couple of hours, maybe I should get off. A bit more. Okay, 3 hours later.
I remember.
Okay.
I remember I popped into your stream as you were learning to play it, and you're like, I like this game, but it takes so fucking long to get from like a station just to the highway. And you're just boosting along. I went, but turn on your travel mode.
Yeah. I know. Again, UI is garbage, and controls aren't really that much better, to be honest. So yeah, it has a lot of indie-itis.
There are quirks, yes.
Sure, you could call them quirks. So, anyways, that's X4. As for its updates this year, there are a few interesting ones. Again, not going to too much detail, but it's basically just more stuff to the game. I think there was multiplayer stuff as well, or no, first they introduced being able to send NPCs to other players' universes or what else, and then are they adding the multiplayer or have they already added
no, the ventures are actually, it's fake multiplayer. It just makes a clone of your ship.
It's basically just sending a clone of your ship that you send there. It goes into your random person's place and does something.
It's like Animal Crossing's visiting thing. It's not real.
So.
But
I mean, they're trying, I guess.
Yeah, the Split Faction update is coming out. Well, was supposed to come out already, but it got delayed because they wanted to perfect it too. So not yet. But
for me, it's like, okay, well, fine, whatever. As long as you don't have any fucking microtransactions in the fucking thing, I don't care.
Oh yeah, those guys are never going to do that.
So yeah, I'll support them. So there you go. Yeah.
What kind of, like, from 1 to 10? I think what sounds like X4 gets a solid 7 or 8.
Thing is, I
I'll give it a
try
7.
not to put the numbers on games oftentimes, because for example, right, there are a good example would be a Latvian game that I played this year actually, that basically is a simple shoot 'em up game, right? Basically, you fly in a spaceship and just shoot stuff, and there's music and so on and so forth. It's coded really well, right? There's barely any bugs to speak of that you can feel, right? It's super short though. It has amazing, looking art style. It has really good music as well, but it's super short, right? And in a way, it has no issues aside from, again, it's just short, or at least what you would perceive as short, and so on and so forth. And well, then you put it at a 3 or 4 or 5 perhaps, because, well, it doesn't have as much good stuff as the big boys like, Assassin's Creed or what else. But that's less broken, or rather those big games are so much more broken than that little fucking thing. So it's kind of hard to put them in the same scale, if you will. For example, yeah, you put in 6 out of 10, then it's like, it sounds like a piece of shit, to be honest. And yet the game is, well, more stable than anything else out there, right?
Have you actually told us the name of this game yet?
That'd be...
Nope.
Let's see. That was the space...
It's just the Latvian game. It's the one Latvian game ever made.
Right. Give me a second. Right, so the game's name was... Oh, for the love of God.
Like, it's been 3 minutes,
Too many of these games. Where is it? No, that's not it. Okay. I'll find it eventually. Just talk among yourself. The point is... Putting in, a score onto a game is...
Okay.
Yeah, scores
we
are
move on to
stupid.
some other game while YamiksYou thinks of the name of that Latvian game.
I'm going through my Steam list. God, give me a break, god damn it.
Watch it be in the Epic launcher.
Okay, one that I like. One that, like, a game that I've really been looking forward to pretty much since GameCon is Everspace 2. The follow-up to
yes.
the first one.
Yeah.
Been keeping an eye on it. I've been playing
killer,
the demo, like the tech demo, the prototype as they call it, and I'm actually enjoying it. It's a pretty good game. It has some potential.
It looks pretty.
Yeah, it looks very pretty. I love the art style of that game. It's lacking some like major features, but again, this is a pre-alpha prototype, so that's to be expected. But overall, I think, it's a good game.
Actually, I was going to ask you that I like pretty visuals and I like spaceships. Obviously, that's my thing, but I need a little bit more depth, just a little bit. Like, is it just flying around, taking missions, blow shit up, go back to base, get another mission?
It's actually a lot. I mean, so I actually recorded a video on it like earlier this week, and one of the things that I like about the game is on the surface, when you see all the PR stuff around it, it seems like a fly around, shoot 'em up kind of game. But to me, the whole combat side of it is almost a secondary activity in the game. They have so many puzzles and like small hidden things that you have to go and try and find. Like, I had this situation where I was flying around like this huge asteroid. And then suddenly I noticed there was an opening in one side, and I could fly inside of that. But there's this amazing crystal cave inside the asteroid that there was nothing telling me it was there. It was just something that I stumbled upon.
Sounds neat.
And they had something that I think is really clever. There's this again, this like a random thing you encounter, like this kind of shadow creature kind of thing that can only stay in the shadow. You could never take it into direct sunlight. And there are 2 of them in an area, and you now have to transport that creature from where it is to the other one without your ship getting hit by sunlight. So you have to bounce from like shadow to shadow, from asteroids and stations and things flying around. That's really cool.
That is really cool,
It's
actually.
an interesting
I'd like
sort
to
of a
try it
mechanic,
sometime.
I suppose.
That's a fun mechanic, and that's what the point I have, like, after playing it. That is, yes, it is a combat looter shooter where you fly around, you shoot people up, you collect loot, you get better ships so you can shoot people faster. But there's so much more to it, and the whole combat thing kind of becomes a secondary objective for you, at least for me. We'll see how that turns out when the mission board is actually implemented, which is not there yet. But I hope they're still going to do puzzle missions.
I don't mean to interrupt, but there's someone in your chat that just said something that reminded me. How freaking amazing was Lost in Space? Season 2. Did anyone else watch it?
Nope.
Again,
okay, if we're gonna get into
seen
the
it.
shows, okay, toss a coin to your Witcher. Okay,
Not my thing.
simple enough. Oh, fuck you. I mean, okay, realistically speaking, yeah, it was relatively mediocre when it comes down to without context sort of watching, but with context, oh my god. Anyways, so yeah, that was a good show. Anyways, no spoilers indeed. Right, the game that I again forgot. Sorry, it's called Lazy Galaxy Rebel Story, and yeah, the name is quite pretentious. But regardless, Lazy Galaxy Rebel Story, or rather, Lazy Galaxy : Rebel Story. There we go. That's the thing. Again,
all I
it's a
hear is
Latvian-
word salad.
Oh, fuck off.
Trying to hit those tags, man. Trying to hit those keywords. Get the game.
Yeah, I
popular.
know,
Yeah.
right? Regardless, it's a fun little game. That's the thing. So yeah. Anyways, shit. There was something else on top of game stuff. Oh right, Everspace. Actually, yeah. The thing is, Obsidian gave me a code for Everspace because those fucking cunts didn't want to give me a review copy because I don't know, they're like comatose on fucking social media, it seems. But whatever. The point is,
Way to build the relationship there.
oh, I
Yeah,
know, right?
yeah,
The thing is, every company, at least on their sort of level, has somebody looking through their emails and checking emails. And when a media person, asks them, oh, hey, can you toss a, review copy so I can, play it and, showcase your thing and so on and so forth, why not? Why wouldn't you give it a digital, key for it? Now, the thing is, plenty of devs do, and that's nice. The thing is, I like Everspace. The thing is, once I played it, it's basically, at least to me, like faster than light in 3D space. And I really like that idea. So
Yeah, me too.
That's the first game. So now I'm definitely looking at the second game and thinking, yeah, it'd be nice to see. It'd be definitely nice to see what they come up with. And so that's that. So, yeah. I mean, just, God damn it, be more socially active, damn it.
I think that the problem is not that they're not socially active. I think the problem is that there are so many different people being socially active. They both have their own community ambassadors and that kind of stuff, but they also have.
You have your
other
official
company-
fucking contact email, god damn it.
Yeah, but when you contact that, then I have more success going through like a third-party like marketing company that they hired to run service.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
It's fucking annoying. Well,
And
regardless.
that's just a surprising common thing in trying to get things for reviews, apparently. Anyway, but Everspace 2, I think, promising and definitely something I'll be keeping an eye on.
All right, fair enough. Let's see. Actually, little nerdy things, I suppose, if you're kind of mentioning one of those shows. You know that one. That one with Baby Yoda.
Oh,
So
Mandalorian.
have you
Mandalorian.
fucking seen The Mandalorian?
I fucking love that show.
It was nice, yeah, it was nice. Kind of lacking in a few places, but as a small little story, yeah, it was nice.
Are you kidding me? Dude, that's
Again-
Jon Favreau. He wrote that.
All
And
right.
not only that, but the directors that they pulled to actually make that thing was amazing. Taika Waititi did the finale with the bit with the troopers sitting there trying to shoot a can and they fucking suck.
Right. Fine. That's very nice and all. Okay, fine. The thing that first of all I didn't like is the weird, absolutely weird. These days they put that color filter on every fucking TV show. It seems. I mean, the Bad Boys basically had the same fucking thing, or. No, The Boys. There we go. The Boys had the same fucking filter on, well, similar one at least. So I hate that. So visually it wasn't very appealing, but it actually had. The thing is, that show actually had more realistic take on the Star Wars universe, and that was actually fresh. Well,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
now.
I couldn't
So
give
that
a
was
damn
nice.
about the movies, but this show made me actually fucking care about Star Wars again.
Speaking of Star Wars, The new.
Haven't seen the
And
movie.
yeah, as people are saying,
Oh,
chat, don't spoil it, guys. If you're
Okay. I've seen the movie. For me, it was better than the last one. Pretty
I saw it too.
stupid in some places. Some interesting ideas. Almost managed to do something interesting and really didn't.
It's bad,
There
but
you
it's
go.
bad in the right ways.
Yeah, there you go. It's that's my essential overview, I guess.
No, I'm serious though. All of you should go watch Lost in Space. That show is great.
Oh, God, it's all right. Jeez.
Robinson. Come on, it's awesome.
The fuck was that?
It was me. I did
He
a
was
voice.
literally shitting through his face or something. I don't know. Regardless.
What, you guys don't do voices?
Misa don't do voices.
I can,
No.
but
Do a
if you-
voice.
No,
Okay.
this is not on demand. I'm not on demand.
I'm not your monkey. I'll do it. I could do the doctor. I could do the Cave of Wonders, Dr. Cloth, and Inspector Gadget, the robot off Lost in Space, obviously. It's all the same voice. You guys haven't gotten the joke yet.
Mm.
All right. All right.
My
slumber. Huh?
Nope.
Yeah. All right. Screw you guys.
Well, sorry for being
Yeah.
culturally inept. Jesus Christ, I have more, pressing issues than, just
you never
knowing
saw
American
Aladdin?
culture.
You never saw Aladdin?
The remake or the
remember.
original animated one?
The original cartoon.
Yeah, a long ass time ago.
The Cave of what? God. How dare you?
I haven't watched it since like 1998. Give me a break here.
All right. Well, anyways,
Shame.
there are still two kind of topics before we go on to our own separate sort of rants on different games, I guess, and then full go or fill the time and so on and so forth. And the game number one is I don't know. Who do we want to take? The Space Legs one or the oversaturated Space Legs one?
The space legs or the space legs?
Well, yeah.
The oversaturated one being
Okay,
No
so
Man's
No
Sky, I
Man's
guess.
Sky, folks.
TheYamiks
This year's
word.
No Man's Sky. So, actually, when was the Beyond update? Was it this year?
I thought it was last year.
Yeah, it was last year because Beyond
Yeah, it was-
released when the new mining became a thing. So that was
Right. There we go.
that
Right,
was
so,
fall, early winter last year.
so what else came out for No Man's Sky? Well, the thing is, I picked up No Man's Sky not for the first update of the year, what else they released. There were some interesting things in it, sure, after I had to just go and look over it. But regardless, yeah, No Man's Sky this year released another update that basically seems to be mocking Elite. The synthesis patch, I suppose, for Beyond Update. So,
Yeah, you might be reading into that one.
well, come on, they had the same, display model for, the icons in space and things, that sensor
Yeah,
thing.
but I mean, look,
okay, fine.
Eve and X4 also have ships that share similar names, but there's
That's
no
true.
connection.
Yeah, well, even X4 kinda are the same thing in ways, Okay, well, fine. They have similar feels. Basically,
Yeah.
X4 is a Eve Online offline.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's why.
That's the stupidest name ever.
Eve Online offline.
There you go. But no, but okay, fine. No Man's Sky essentially introduced some interesting things in that synthesis patch, and that's the thing. It was just a patch. It wasn't anything too amazing or too great. They basically introduced some quality of life improvements here and there. They improved, well, not only just the existing things, but pushing out some little new things as well, right? So. It's interesting that essentially I looked up, after, making a video on that stuff, how much, just out of the curiosity, how many people do work on No Man's Sky? And apparently the number is 25. So 25 people are working on No Man's Sky. As of registered currently, right? At least with now.
I thought it was less.
Yeah, right? Me too. But, well, there you go. Regardless, Elite Dangerous. Apparently, by, the accounts of developers that I have contacted, I have, 25 people working on just these updates that we have right now. And when you look at, how much can be done for No Man's Sky in this time with that sort of a team, and what Elite has gotten in this time with that many people working on, supposedly right now, on these updates, yeah, you kind of start to think. Sure, a lot of people say, you can't compare, Elite and No Man's Sky or these updates or what else, but you can. The point is not about the way they do, or what they release, in what quantities. The fact is that they can release updates for the game that impact it notably, and they are both stable, tested, well, sure, with bugs, that's true, but not game-breaking or completely catastrophic. And yet Elite Dangerous can't even manage that. That was the point, really. So you start to just.
I agree.
It frustrates me when a company that actually has so much less of a workforce still can actually push out a better product, or at least what, is essentially a better update for a product or a change for their product than the same amount of people. Actually, they're both UK companies, as a matter of fact, so you can't say that it's even just a different, nation doing things, or, differently thinking people. It's the same fucking cunts. Okay? Kind of, ish. I mean, UK's, what it is. I mean, Brexit much. But regardless.
Whoa.
Yeah, so...
It's kicking the fire right there.
Oh, yes, kick it. But regardless, the point
Backpedal.
Yeah, sure. Regardless, anyways. That's the thing with No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous that, at least I wanted to raise a point about. But as its own, No Man's Sky this year has actually done pretty well. Some just simple updates here and there, and, making the game better and better. That's really nice to see.
Ships, actually. Yeah, salvaging ships in the latest update has been real fun for me.
Yeah, and I haven't even touched it just yet. Kind of need to go back and, poke it. I mean, after I finished it, kind of got bored of it. But regardless, it's still nice to, pick it up once in a while and start from anew. So, yeah, No Man's Sky definitely has, well, as I have said in the past, redeemed itself. And now is actually...
No Man's Sky has legs.
No Sky has legs.
That too. It has mounts too, so you can mount a space horse, I guess. In many ways, I guess.
We got so many legs, we have legs for our legs.
Yeah, here's the thing with No Man's Sky versus Elite, though, as far as resources and that. I think the approach that the two companies took to doing it on the back end of things is very, very different. And I think that's what's making the difference. Where Hello Games, for instance, can add things to No Man's Sky so much simpler than Elite can. Elite took the overcomplicated route of having power play and BGS and all this kind of thing, to where anything and everything you do, is counted in some certain way. And then on the engine level, the Cobra engine that they're using for this, they're shoehorning a lot of things into this that it was never originally meant to do, or at least, they're basically beta testing technology in Elite for other games. And that's why, stuff like Jurassic World, Planet Zoo,
Never
Planet
really
Coaster,
thought of it, but you may be fucking right, and that makes me depressed. Holy fuck.
Yeah, well, think about it that way for just a minute, where, their Elite essentially is on the cutting, the bleeding edge of Cobra's technology. They're basically building it using Elite, and then, that technology, as they test and refine it, gets added to their other games, when they finally understand it. So that's why the rest of Frontier's games work so much better, at least in my mind. Elite is extremely complex in how it does things in the background, and I think that's why it has so much more trouble than something like No Man's Sky, which is comparatively simplistic.
But then again, they have also been using the Cobra engine for actually making other things work, whether it's dinosaurs or tigers. So hopefully that means that they've learned something about not getting, like, when you actually introduce walking around in Elite, which I really hope is going to come next year, that we're not just going to suddenly just glitch through the ground and fall to the center.
We will. I mean, we will. It's going to be super funny. If Elite Dangerous is to be getting, the first-person parts, what else, I fucking hope it's for the first month or so, it's gonna be like Skyrim. If it does, it's perfect. It's gonna be a fucking laughing stock, and I'm gonna laugh at it, and what it does is gonna be funny. As for the long-term implications, I mean, if they can fix it, fine. It's gonna be a funny start for me, not a very good for them, but whatever. It's gonna be funny for me, and in the long term, they will probably manage to make it. I hope they do, so I'm not, sort of urging them to fail, but, it'd be just interesting for me.
Realistically, everyone in this room makes at least a partial part of their living off of a channel that's devoted to Elite. So I don't think any of us are going to turn around and say, oh, yeah, it's terrible and dead and we should all leave right today. Or at least
there are alternatives. And speaking of that, you mentioned previously, guys, No Man's Sky and their development and the way they do it. The thing is, make no mistake, no matter what type of engine you have, no matter what type of code you have, still, regardless of, what you put into it, what you put into it really can matter. And the thing with the No Man's Sky has been for the last year and a half, or even more, that basically with the team they have decided, we're gonna just improve this little thing, we're gonna be improving this little other thing that is completely unrelated, and then another thing, just generally tweaking and improving the game, adding small little things that neither are broken nor are a hindrance to the game, just improving it overall. And the same sort of decisions you can put on Elite Dangerous and other games too. You can put in essentially work in improving the UI of the game. You can put in work in balance of the game. You can put in work in maybe just adding perhaps handcrafted missions. Things that are relatively easy to do in comparison, and also relatively quick too, in some case. So, yeah, fuck off. Right, but yeah, the point is, the things that developers on Elite Dangerous have chosen to put in have both been overcomplicated oftentimes, and really just eye-grabbing. And that's about it. Rather, no substance. And there's another product in the space sim genre that does
I think
that
one of the
a lot.
main reasons why you, like, when we see new updates to Elite, that we often see some significant number of bugs. I think it's because that if you look at the scope of what Elite is compared to what No Man's Sky is, I mean, No Man's Sky is a funny game. I've definitely had some fun hours in No Man's Sky, but I always end up coming back to Elite because the scope of the game is just so much bigger than what they have in No Man's Sky.
Come on, they're both procedurally generated. The difference is that No Man's Sky, you just simply have a harder time traveling. I'm not talking about
the procedurally generated planets. I mean, that's something that people have been doing for years. People got that technology down. Yes. People can do it in new and fancy ways to make it.
You meant scope. Sorry. Right. Yeah, you're right. Yes, gotcha.
But every time I think it was the pilot was a you or was a Prox. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
You have the same voice. You are hard to distinguish.
All Americans sound
alike. Apparently we do. It's a good thing Minnie isn't here. No one would be able to tell who the hell's talking.
It'd be trio, eh?
No, but the fact that every time you do, I mean, the whole, like, all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, I'm not just talking about, like, BGS, the way they try to simulate a market economy, even though there is no trade between players at all. And still yet they try to, like, make it seem like there is. That all that stuff that goes on behind the scenes makes Elite Dangerous a so much more complicated game, and the fact that everything is like the missions, especially the missions, is such a sensitive thing that a small change could have like a huge impact on what goes on with a specific mission type or something like that. I think that's why we're seeing so many issues when things are being changed in Elite, because it often becomes so unstable that if you make a small change, it can have huge impact somewhere that can be next to impossible to foresee. And to be honest, that has also been the cause of a lot of the money makers over the last couple of years.
Yep.
I'm going to hit the other way with this. I think, and hear me out. I think you might be subject to the sunk cost fallacy. That because you've put so much effort and so much work into Elite, that even if you have a system like No Man's Sky, which by the way does have its own economy as well, you know, and you can dupe it, you can short it and long sell it and everything like that. You know, even if you find a system that works without all the bugs, even though there are in No Man's Sky, that you'll still go back to Elite simply because that's what you have the most of you invested in. You know what I mean?
Might very well be true.
Yeah.
Often people excuse games, and it doesn't matter if it's Elite or what else. There's just a great big amount of folks that just, you know, go around, oh, I played, you know, whatever, 100 hours of this game, and I only bought like, you know, $500 worth of skins, and this time it's paid off. Like, no, that's not exactly how it works. No, you're being stupid. You're being willingly obtuse there, but you fuck. No, and this is actually way more relevant to another product that we'll get into a little bit later. Anything else about No Man's Sky? Any updates? Interesting things?
I'll admit I don't play it as much as you might think.
I mean, I don't play No Man's Sky either. I often... It's a nice game to pick up and play. That's how it's made to be.
It's very relaxing.
Elite Dangerous is a longer time investment. It has always been. So I suppose they kind of complement each other in that sort of a way. But I don't know. I personally need to still finish the first fucking Witcher, which is a horrible game. Anyways, carry on.
Okay, should we move on to...
Yes, we should. So, who wants to start?
I guess we're moving on to Star Citizens. Is that what we're moving on to now?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, let's do a quick... I must admit, I have not been keeping up to date with Star Citizen news. I actually got someone messaging me a couple of days ago who told me that with the someone correct me who actually been keeping up with the news, that with the 3.8 update, you now don't get all your progress wiped at every update.
That's supposedly the case, yes.
Yes.
One of the reasons why I came back to...
Yeah, that would be an
actually
argument to actually go and give it a go again. I'm surprised that they did that, but okay, fair enough. Other than that, I actually don't know how far along Star Citizen is in terms of updates.
Right. So
right?
at the year end, essentially, we've gotten the Squadron 42, the visual trailer thingamajig. So, I mean, that exists.
Good news! The Dacia Sandero is coming out.
Yep, carrying on. Then, right. So essentially, when it comes down to Star Citizen, well, yeah, next year apparently there should be, I guess, beta for Squadron 42. We'll see about that, though. But when it comes down to actual developments within Star Citizen this year, well, 3.7, right? So this is the thing that I managed to play test the most, and well, mining shit. The handheld mining is garbage. So, yeah. Frames are still shit. The apologists are still up in arms.
3.8's better about frame rate now. It's a lot smoother. You'd be surprised.
Okay, so here's the thing about 3.8, right? I was waiting for it to actually fucking update a little while back, and I was like, well, the holidays are coming. I ain't gonna have a lot of time. And guess what? They updated basically when I started, doing things for holidays, and I hadn't had the time to poke it properly. So I'll have to do that. But yeah, it's still in deep alpha. It still hasn't come out, and it is basically around 300 million in the bank over 7 years, and still
didn't they? And now was this? I thought I heard some news at some point that they said they were never actually going to have a release version. They were just going to keep expanding on it from where it was. Or was that just?
They haven't announced the release. Honestly, these days it's kind of hard to say why they haven't released any sort of news even for a beta of the fucking alpha, right?
Money.
Well,
The answer is always money.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. I mean, I'm not gonna waste your time just going around and giving hypotheticals. There you go. That's the money. They keep raking in a lot of money, so why bother, right? And fans accept it. They're fans. They're most adamant fans. They're whales, apparently. Well, I mean, yeah, seriously, that's what probably they're being called. Are accepting it, really. And well, even if they wouldn't accept it, they probably wouldn't care, as long as they still get money for every ship sale and what it does. I have a feeling that Star Citizen, no matter which year it will be, it's just gonna be perpetual fucking alpha, it feels. Maybe, Squadron 42 will come out in a finished form in some ways because it's a single player game and whatnot else that is supposed to be, so it's probably, I guess, probably easier to make, but yeah, we'll see about that. The future of Star Citizen is just an interesting one indeed to follow. So yeah, I certainly will keep an eye out for it. This year personally hasn't been really that interesting for me. Yeah, there have been some additions to it that have been okay-ish. Some nice ones, but well, I'm more concerned about the general thing, Where's the money? Where's the deadline? Where's the fucking game? Questions like those. Because at this point, yeah, okay, you put out a new shiny thing and fanboys go and buy that stuff, and even non-fanboys go and buy that stuff, and I'm just sitting here thinking, well, okay, when's the next, sale? What's gonna be the next thing? When are you gonna actually show me something that makes me interested in it? As in a proper fucking product, because this is not funny. There's a lot of money and investment going into it, so yeah.
Okay. Anybody got anything else on Star Citizens?
I will say that it does actually run a lot better than it used to. The actual multi-crew is working properly, unlike Elite.
Oh yeah, that's actually the funny thing is Star Citizen has better multi-crew than Elite. And I'm not being facetious, it's actually better. It crashes also less. Fucking hell.
That doesn't say a lot.
Oh god. But anyways, carry on.
Anyway.
It does run a lot smoother than it used to as well. So that's something that I used to complain about that a lot.
But
who cares? It used to run it a lot.
But what can you do?
Everything you can in Elite, and then more.
You can do box missions, placeholder box missions.
Hooray!
Yeah, there's all kinds of other stuff now too. Bounty
you
hunting,
can do a beacon
mining specific missions.
Sit there for 5 minutes.
They've got other ones where. And they also have other ones where you can go cave spelunking to try and find dead people in there for life insurance claims. I'm not even kidding. That's exactly what it is. I did one of those the other night. It was funny as hell.
Fair enough. Still, what I see from Star Citizen currently is, again, it's sort of treading the fine line between an actual finished stuff that we have for the actual game that is being made and a simple demo. They're treading the line between those two, sometimes falling back on the fact that it's not gonna be that. It's just full of placeholders. It's a demo. Come on, don't judge it too much. And then they say, "Oh, but this is the game. This is gonna be the gameplay. It has so much gaplay in it."
Yeah, we can't refund you because this is the game.
Yeah, but it's just either or. You can't have a representation be the game, and if that's all of it, then isn't that like, a scam, misrepresentation shit? So I'm just questioning here. So, well, fair is fair.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky, fucking Star Citizen. Sorry. It has potential.
Astroneer.
Obviously. I see plenty of it. So yeah, Astroneer. Let's go.
Let's
with
talk
that.
about it.
Come on.
So
I like Astroneer.
I like it. Okay, I tried out Astroneer at. I actually had yesterday to go back and see when I posted the video. That was way back in, I think, February, the beginning of the year. And back then, I liked the game, but it never really hooked me the way other games do. So I kind of put it aside. But a couple of guys over on my community Discord server has picked up the game again, and they seem to have a lot of fun. And I decided to join them yesterday, and it was hilarious. We had so much fun in that game yesterday. I must admit, it's developed quite nicely over this year. Yeah, it's very cartoonish, but there's just some small things like you can get properly lost in that game and not find your way back. Kind of lost. That's quite funny.
I do like that. I like you have to build a small little infrastructure just for yourself, just so you can go exploring.
Yeah.
Right.
And not suffocate and die.
Or get gassed to death somehow in a spacesuit.
And there's actually, I think I spent close to 5 or 6 hours yesterday just exploring the planets. One planet. I didn't leave that one planet. That was pretty good. In case some of you guys don't know Astroneer, it is the art style is quite cartoonish. Just people watching maybe. The art style is a little cartoonish, but it is like an exploration game where you have to ensure that you constantly have a supply of oxygen. So you have to build tethers all the way back to your main base, and if the tether is broken, well, you're out of oxygen and you will die. It's quite fun. It might seem sounds a little simple, but it's more complicated than that. Have to go and dig into caves and find materials to build stuff, that kind of stuff. It's quite fun. And without spoiling anything, I managed to get to the. Have you guys managed to dig all the way to the core of the main planet?
Yes.
That was amazing.
It is.
That was one of the best gaming experiences in a while.
Have you found those giant things that you can find out in the wild?
Yeah, that you power up.
Yeah.
I
love those.
I have no idea what they're talking about.
No, because I don't want to spoil the game in case there's
fair enough.
Wants to
That's
pick
good.
it
That's
up.
good.
And the whole point of the game is that you have to go and discover these things for yourself and solve these puzzles for yourself. So there's going to be quite a bit of a meta talk when you actually go and talk about the content of the game. That's why it's difficult to talk about it in a forum like this, because I don't want to spoil it for people.
Definitely. It sounds really interesting. Yeah.
Yep, it is. It really is neat that you can go out and find. You'll be just wandering along, and you'll something distance, and you'll go and you'll come up to it, and it's a box or a capsule, and you'll open it up, and there's a new piece of technology, and you're like, "What does this do?" Interesting, and you can play with it around for a couple minutes, and you find out it does. It moves the train or turns it into a different color, or you go salvage a satellite that fell down to the planet and got partially buried, and it's neat. I love it.
We had an amazing moment yesterday when I found something, but I didn't have the room to carry it. So one of the other guys wanted to come and pick it up. But I've been driving around the planet for hours, and there's no coordinate system or anything like that, so I had no idea where I actually was. And so we had to try and find each other, and we did that by saying, okay, so I have sunrise now, and he then looked at where the sun was, and based on that, we could figure out what direction he should travel in, and then we kept like trying to like look at the moons and the planets and how they moved, and talk about where they were compared to each other, and eventually managed to find each other after half an hour, but
well, I mean, there's ways to fix that too. You can build a beacon, but you have to find the blue or you have to be able to unlock the blueprint for the beacon, and then
you have to find the material to build the beacon, which I didn't have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I need to dig for that, and I didn't want to leave the site because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to find that thing again. So.
No, I like those kinds of games where those specific types of survival games where it doesn't take itself so seriously, but on the other hand, you do have to think about what you're doing.
Yeah. It's one of those games where it could go from you seem like you're under control to everything is about to explode in a very short amount of time. No, I mean, if people out there are looking for like a small little fun game, that I would definitely recommend playing in multiplayer. I don't know if you guys have played in multiplayer, but it adds a lot to the game, I think, that you can run around with people. Then Astroneer would be a good place to look, I think.
I'm always the fat one. How about you?
I usually use the last night, at least I had the big Saki spacesuit.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Other space games, so somewhat related to that. How about KSP2?
Oh,
That
yeah.
Oh, yes, there
Looking
was an
forward to it.
announcement for that, too.
Yeah.
I am so much looking forward to crashing in that.
Same.
I'm still afraid of the first game,
Hold
so
on,
I'm
this is
like,
not the right-
The first
I
one
have
is just
no idea
stupid
what
fun.
I'm
You should
doing
try
in that
it.
game, so I'm like, just rockets, explode something. Something explodes, yes, I'm in there, and I crash. Okay.
Oh, dude,
no
if
idea.
you don't know how to play a KSP, you got to watch the same videos we've all watched. Hello, I'm Scott Manley.
Yeah, exactly. Hello.
I'll take some interesting interactive videos with quick and digestible information. Ha ha.
I like Scott. He's a good guy.
Actually, the
Yeah.
funny thing is, I actually did talk with him in Frontier Expo. A little bit about the way we make content and so on and so forth. So I was actually talking about the whole swearing aspect, that it's actually, relatively speaking, a mandatory part of my content. As a matter of fact, I choose to use profanity and actually use it quite a bit because of my own personal principles. While he, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. He tries to not use it. And so it was a rather interesting, sort of little, conversation we had. So, yeah, hey, yeah, neat. What can I say? Definitely a neat guy, so nothing bad to say. Again.
But going back to KSP2,
Yes.
do we have any other information than it will be a thing at some point? I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot other than they have posted a few very short teaser trailers on YouTube, but that's about it that I've seen. I haven't seen any details where I have people asking about what about something like Lagrange mechanics and that kind of stuff. No. KSP2 is far from released. We have very little details on it at the moment. I don't think we have any information on that level, whether it's going to be Lagrange mechanics in it or stuff like that. I would hope they would add it. That would be cool. But I mean, Kerbal. I still enjoy Kerbal. I mean, I still make Kerbal videos from time to time, and I really enjoy the game. And I'm looking forward to a follow up.
Same.
Speaking of games, well, this year we actually had a few other games coming out, so I'll quickly go over these because, well, again, we've been more than 2 hours live, so let's try to keep it concise, at least on my end. So, Outer Wilds. This actually is a very similar style looking, at least, game to... well, I'd say Astroneer in some ways. I mean, it's not as bright as what it does, but it certainly is very beautiful looking, and it has a very interesting physics. you know, having very small planets and also, of course, gravity changing things and so on and so forth. So visually spectacular game, of course on Epic Store. So there's that. But aside from it, well, I played it a little bit. It has a readable. Well, it has mostly reading style, fucking text-based adventure. I hate that.
Is it good? I've been meaning to check it out.
It is very interesting in the visual spectacular way. As for the story, oh God, I just can't bear to read shit. I just hate it in games, at least, and so on. So, but story is a sort of a personal thing. So you can. Again, I haven't played it too much, so won't be the best source of that. But Outer Wilds definitely a visually wonderful game. So if you're interested in interesting physics and so on and so forth, definitely recommended.
How about Outer Worlds?
Outer Worlds. Now, how many you actually have played here?
Not me.
Really?
Not a single one of you, really. Okay, so
I have. Hello.
Oh, then sound off for fuck's. Anyways,
I did.
Outer Worlds. In my quick couple word summary: Fallout, but better. Small maps, horrible combat in comparison to normal FPS games. Wonderful Pip-Boy VATS system replacement, the slow-mo effect. Very little weapon choice. Very little animation, especially facial animation. Wonderful story.
I liked
wonderful
it.
characters.
I wish there was. I liked it. I wish there was more story. I always want more after a game was over. That's how I know it's good. I wish the skill tree was a little bit more elaborate, and I wish there was a lot more choice for weaponry and customization, and maybe a few hidden Easter eggs here and there. Like if you really worked hard enough, you can get so and so as a companion, because there's only 5, and I'm like, okay, wanted more.
Never cared for companions. They always ruin my stealth gameplay style. So yeah.
But other than that, it's fun as hell, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it definitely was a wonderful thing to sort of pick up and see. I liked it. Performance also, again, for all of its faults, I saw plenty of good things in it, so I definitely recommend it.
It's
So yeah, and
too.
also fuck Bethesda. So
Oh yeah, always fuck Bethesda. Yeah.
yeah. So actually, well, we can move on to the next topic. Bethesda this year in gaming has been a marvel to behold, if you will. I mean, sure, Fallout 76 came out.
Why don't we ask the
last
other
year.
two if they have any games they want to talk about?
Oh yeah, go for it then. Sorry, yeah, I was just anyway.
Nothing that really comes to mind as far as like things that most people here are likely to play anyway.
I got like X4, Astroneer, and Everspace on my list of the games that I wanted to cover as the additional ones, and we've been there. So,
and
I mean, the only other one that I play a whole lot of is DCS, and I don't think you guys play it.
I haven't played it. I've seen you play it. Elaborate flight simulator that I absolutely hate. Again, my hate to flight simulators comes from basically my childhood-ish, I guess. I played it. I played some sort of old Microsoft X. I don't know. It wasn't X, but it was one of the stupid flight simulators, right? Literally called flight simulator thing. I didn't understand shit. It had horrible graphics. I hated it, and I never want to play anything like that again.
is that why you're still playing on mouse and keyboard?
Yes.
Feels
No,
wonderful.
actually, the thing is, back in the day, I really liked driving games, or rather, well, some of the friends had actual wheel, right? So driving games with a wheel is a really interesting thing. And actually, this year, while researching one other video, I managed to play with a whole full, driving rig, and holy fuck, do I suck! Fucking hell! But regardless, it really is immersive, if you will. So, yeah, it's definitely nice in what it does, but mostly I play mouse and keyboard because it's just pragmatical, yeah. you don't need to switch over stuff. You don't need to buy extra stuff. So there you go. Anyways, any other games? No, well, okay. Then I have one last little thing that I kind of wanted to talk. I mean, it's not space related, but if we're talking about games, this year finished, or rather picked up and finished, finally, Bendy and the Ink Machine. If any of you actually have played that.
Nope, never even heard of it.
Okay,
What is that?
so
Like a
essentially,
printing press kind of thing.
Bendy and the Ink Machine. A while back, there was a free...
Is that 2D little with the ink, the black blobs that you have to move around?
Yes, kind of.
I saw some.
No,
gameplay
not
of
that. No. That's a different one. No, but the Bendy and the Ink Machine has a wonderful style. Gameplay is relatively monotonous in what it does, but the thing that drives me forward with the whole thing is absolutely the art style of it. And if you want some amazing, actually it's a free. The first chapter of I think it was 5 chapters is free, so definitely worth checking out. And if you like the style, it's great, like really great. Back in the day, it came out as a free, demo for basically a game that one guy and his friend made, I think, and. It took off essentially, so yeah, definitely. Now it's finally finished and wonderful experience.
First-person puzzle action horror game that begins in the far days of the past of civilization.
Essentially, it has the
say that again. First-person action horror game.
First-person puzzle action horror game.
Jesus.
Puzzle and horror is a really odd combination, but okay.
No, it's puzzle
Yeah,
and
that's what I was
action.
just thinking.
Nah, it's fine. Okay, so essentially what the game is a Disney, old Disney style, looking, black and white sort of environment.
It looks like
style of game. Like a 3D, walking around sort of a thing. Again, you just need to look it up and you'll see the style, you'll understand it. It's throughout the whole thing, it's great for that part. Right, actually, one more thing also that came out this year was Borderlands 3. Anyone played?
Nope.
Not yet.
Okay,
it's on the list.
It's honestly, in my opinion, not as good as Borderlands 2. Story is meh. And
hard pass.
But weapons are nice. I mean, there are more weapons, more things, I guess.
And weapons with legs. Hooray.
That too, yes. It's nice. No, but it's nice. In that part, they took a drastical sort of a change in style, I'd say. So that was kind of a. But that aside, well, yeah, there you go. There are a few more games. Oh, right. And the final thing from my side for this year will be news on Half-Life Alyx. Thoughts?
Yay, Half-Life.
Exclusive to VR, no thank you.
Okay. I guess that summarizes it. Okay.
It seems we're getting further and further away from common games, or am I?
Yeah, maybe we are all. I mean, there are plenty of absolutely wonderful games to check out. Again, Hellblade is a really good game. I really recommend everyone to try and go and play it. Anyways, right, yeah. I guess that's about it. And Death Stranding, yes, it came out. Haven't played it. Haven't watched it. I want to play it when it comes on to PC. That aside from, that's it on my end. Anyone else?
All those TV shows I recommended and more. Oh, and Expanse. Watch Expanse too.
I haven't watched the new season. I probably should, though.
It's so good.
Okay, well, that pretty much summarizes it then. Well, it has been the last Creators Roundtable of this year. I really wish there
First
would
in
be
a
more.
long while.
Oh, yes. Wait, was this the only? No, it couldn't be the only one.
No.
No, we had some earlier in the year.
Right. Okay.
It's been a while.
Right. Sorry. Anyways, Right, so indeed it is the end of the year and what it else. So hopefully you enjoyed our little discussion about the games and all that stuff and what happened throughout the year in some smaller larger way. So yeah, next year is going to be very interesting. I mean, we get Doom, we get Cyberpunk. I mean, Jesus, that's going to be interesting. Of course, we at the end of the year we get Elite Dangerous, the update thingamajig. Probably. I mean, they won't miss the new console generation release, obviously. So we'll see about that. Unless the consoles themselves, postpone, then Elite will postpone as well. But we'll see about that.
Please don't.
Yeah, please.
Can't bear it.
Please don't. Please don't. Right.
I want to wait another year.
God. And well, I don't know.
Should we round it off and just? I mean, I'll probably continue my stream afterwards, and I don't know if you will do the same, Yamiks.
I'll do a little bit of a thank you at the end as well. So yeah, I guess that's it on the year for me. There's a few other things that I suppose discuss, but whatever. I'll do that in my own time. So yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
Buy Arcs.
Fuck you. No. I said no. Bad. No, don't buy Arcs. It's
Bad
horrible.
pilot.
Don't support this stupid monetization practice. And fuck Frontier for actually putting it in. That's my last statement.
And
I have been Yamiks. See you around.
When they
See you, fellas.
gifting, then buy Arcs and give them to Yamiks.
Yes, give them.
God damn it! No, people will stop. No, please. Why?
I'll do it.
Yeah,
You know I'll do it.
Oh God, sorry. Anyways,
We
today
will
we've been joined
all chip
by.
in when Yamiks hits some kind of milestone. They will all chip in and buy a big pack of Arcs for him.
Anyways, today's host guest thing, panel was joined by Down to Earth Astronomy, Paroxym, the pilot, and yours truly, as I said, Yamiks. So, massive thanks for you guys for coming along and making this thing a thing. And yeah, as I said, I think I said everything. That's it. Bye.
Happy New Year, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And that's it on the official part, I suppose. Oh God, what am I doing? No. I don't want to launch. No, don't launch me off the thing. Oh God. Shit. Well, in any case, let me turn on the alerts back. Here you go. And turn to surface. Let's see. No. Turn it off. There we go. Here we go. Yeah, that's the vanity cam. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the little retrospective. Tomorrow I'll do a little bit of a personal retrospective on basically games I've played throughout the year and little things about Elite, about everything, as I said, that I played this year. So join me then, same time, same place, and all that. A big thanks, of course, to the generous few folks that were generous throughout the stream. So Lil Buck, well, thank you for your little contribution there on the super chats, and the same thing for Hasmango for his interesting sticker thing. Well, regardless, greatly appreciated. So guys, hopefully, yeah, the conversation was interesting, and here's to another year, basically, and hopefully with good games and so on and so forth. Well, the last thing, basically, what I can say is just, well, of course, obviously, thanks for watching, and join me tomorrow. If not, well then, Happy New Year, and yeah. Of course, subscribe on YouTube, follow on the Twitch, the usual stuff, essentially. What else? Yeah, join Discords, why not? There's a link in the description and what else below. regardless. And hey, if you want to support this stream a little bit more, there's Streamlabs, donation link, and what else, and of course Patreon as well. So greatly appreciate those things. So you can see me do a little bit more of this without the worry of lights going out or what else. So yeah, thanks guys, and I'll see you then. Well, either tomorrow or next year or something. I might actually stream on New Year's as well. Well, in that case, thanks, and I'll see you around.